Welcome to the Old Time Radio Westerns. I'm your host, Andrew Rhines, and I'm excited to bring you another episode absolutely free. This episode is just one of over 80 episodes we release monthly. Each one is meticulously digitally restored and stored in the cloud, which comes at a considerable expense. To help cover these costs, you might hear some advertisements throughout this episode. While we retain the original commercials for historical authenticity, you may encounter modern ads. We promise to keep these ads to a minimum and try to place them where you would have originally heard them when they aired. If you prefer an ad-free experience, you can support us by becoming a member on our Patreon page. Go to otrwesterns.com/donate. Again, that's otrwesterns.com/donate for more information. I want to emphasize that we're committed to providing this content to you for free, but also want to be transparent about the financial realities of producing these shows. As a reminder, if you're listening to this episode on a service you pay for, please know that they do not support this podcast in any way, and the ads will be in this episode. Now, let's get into this episode. This episode is going to be The Lone Ranger. Original air date is December 20th, 1948, and the title is The Lone Bandit. Hope you enjoy, and let's get into it.
A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty Hi-Yo Silver, the Lone Ranger. With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early western United States. Nowhere in the pages of history can one find a greater champion of justice. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. From out of the past come the thundering hoofbeats of the great horse Silver. The Lone Ranger rides again.
Come on, Silver! Let's go, big fellow! Hi-Yo Silver! Hi!
He was known as the Lone Bandit. His notoriety had spread, starting in Arizona, then into New Mexico, and finally into Texas. He was known to be tall, dark, and well-built, with a knife scar above his right eye. He spoke with an accent and was the leader in raid after raid. Yet it was said that he never led the same gang twice, so that no follower was with him long enough to ever really know him too well. The first time the Lone Bandit struck in Texas was at the express office in Pecos.
Hey, what is this? You can't
We
come
have
here.
not come to argue, my friend.
Oh!
Get the gold for me safe, amigos. Hurry. We take it to our camp, and each will get his share, then we separate for good. Hurry, get that gold.
The next time the lone bandit struck was with a new gang when they intercepted a big cattle drive.
They're coming, amigos. Now, we stampede the cattle and we use our bullets on the cowhands. Later, we round up what cattle we can and drive them over the border or sell them. Then we will disband. Right. Get ready, they're coming. All right, it's the time now. We start shooting. Gente, caballo!
And the lone bandit became even more notorious when he and a new gang raided a meeting of townsmen in Stockton who were planning his capture.
I say we have to get several posses and scour the territory for that hombre, the lone bandit, before he strikes here in Stockton.
Right. They say he never uses the same men in his gang.
Yeah, and he always rides a different horse.
He's plenty smart. Some of the men who have ridden with him have been caught, but none of them can tell much about him because they don't stay with him long enough to get to know him. I say we better get him before he gets...
Hey, what's going on out there?
We better find out.
Don't move, my friend.
Hey,
Lone bandits! Got him down!
Oh!
Your friend there was a little hasty. I will line up all of you over there against the wall. Get the guns, Mr. Amigos, and also the wallets. Knowing you were meeting here to make plans to find me, I could not resist paying this visit.
You won't get away with this, mister. We'll get you after you leave here.
You talk too much, amigo. Perhaps others may try to trail me, but you won't be with them.
Following the trail of the lone bandit, which was marked by robberies and killings, the Lone Ranger and his Indian companion Tonto rode the trail southward from Stockton and were approaching the town of Dry Gulch.
Tonto, the raid on the meeting at Stockton took place only a few days ago. The man known as the Lone Bandit can't be too far away.
That right. Him cause plenty trouble in territory.
Yes, I know.
Why you think him always ride with new gang each time?
Well, there's a big reward for his capture, Tonto. He doesn't trust anyone. He doesn't allow any one man to ride with him long enough to betray him.
Lawmen catch some of men who ride with him, but them not know where Lone Bandit go.
Well, he's a very clever man, and a dangerous one.
That right.
That Cottonwood Grove to the right will make a good campsite, Tonto. We're getting close to town, so we better head over there. Come on, Silver.
Get him up, Scout.
After they prepared their camp, Tonto mounted Scout and rode into town for supplies. While they waited for Tonto to return, the Lone Ranger lay down to rest. A short time later, he was awakened from a light sleep by a warning whinny from Silver.
Silver must hear something. What is it, big fella?
The magnificent stallion stood ears pointed forward and looking through the trees to the left. The Lone Ranger's gaze followed Silver's, and then he saw the reason for Silver's warning. A rider on a black horse that stood motionless a short distance away. The Lone Ranger instinctively moved his hand toward his gun when the stranger spoke.
Do not draw, my friend. I have you covered. And in the arroyo behind you are two more hombres with drawn guns.
All right. You have the drop on me.
And the gun. Oh, no. Oh.
As the stranger stopped before him, the Lone Ranger looked at him sharply. The tall, dark, well-built figure and the scar above the eye indicated that he was facing the notorious Lone Bandit. The Lone Ranger spoke casually.
Well, why do you interrupt my siesta? What is it you want?
You are the calm one, my friend. Perhaps you do not know who I am.
Perhaps I don't. Am I supposed to know?
Oh, yeah, Slim, Tex, come here. This hombre does not know who I am. Tell him, Tex.
Sure. Guess you've heard of the Lone Bandit, haven't you, mister?
The Lone Bandit? Yes, of course.
Well, that's him.
Really? Well, this is an unexpected surprise.
We were riding past. I saw you resting here, and noticing your mask, I knew you were an outlaw.
That was a logical conclusion.
Since I'm getting to gather some men who are not friendly with the law to help me with a certain plan I have, I decided to stop and talk to you.
I can't say it strikes me as a friendly visit when you come with drawn guns.
See, that is so. But I must be most careful, amigo. There are those even outside the law who would attempt to profit by turning me in.
I'm not interested in any profit I might gain by capturing you, mister.
So, then perhaps we can come to terms.
Perhaps. Now, if you'll put up those guns...
No, not yet, my friend. I must ask you to keep your hands up for a minute. Tex.
Yeah.
Go behind him and take his guns. Empty them, then give them back.
Sure. Come on, Dave. Come on. Yeah, I got him. There. Dropped all the bullets out of him so he can have them back, mister. Here.
Thanks.
You will ride with us to our camp where we can talk, no?
I'm willing.
Good. Tex and Slim will keep you covered. After I get to know you better, such a precaution won't be necessary, I'm sure.
Just as you say. Before I leave, I'd better scatter the fire. That is, if you don't object.
But of course.
Under the watchful eyes of the three outlaws, the Lone Ranger walked to the glowing embers of the campfire and scattered them with his foot. Then, picking up a partly burned stick, he pretended to rub out the still glowing end that had been in the fire. Actually, he quickly drew the letters LB in the soft earth and made an Indian sign meaning wait. The lone bandit called out impatiently.
Hurry, my friend. Such attention to one little charred stick is not necessary.
I'm ready.
As the Lone Ranger prepared to mount, he stood for an instant looking over the camp. He knew that the outlaws were too smart to leave a trail that could be followed, and he hoped that when Tonto returned, he'd find the signs and wait at the camp, since the Lone Ranger hoped in some way to contact his Indian friend later. Then, as the lone bandit spoke again, he mounted.
Hurry, amigo.
Right. Easy. Come on, fella.
A short time later, Tonto returned from town and reined up at the campsite.
Oh, Scout. Oh, fella. Easy, Scout.
Tonto immediately saw that the Lone Ranger and Silver were not at the camp. And a moment later, as he walked forward, he noticed the scattered fire.
This is strange. Me wonder if... Oh. Bullet from Lone Ranger's gun on ground. Someone come. Maybe make 'em unload gun. Here hoof marks. 3 horses.
For a moment, the loyal Indian stood in puzzlement. Then his keen eyes saw the markings on the ground near the fire.
Oh. That LB. That mean Lone Bandit come. Their Indian sign say, wait. Maybe Lone Ranger have plan. He waited camp.
Meantime, after riding for about half an hour, the outlaws took the Lone Ranger through a narrow pass into a small basin. The horses were put in a lean-to, and the lone bandit took the masked man into one of the 2 cabins in the clearing.
Enter, amigo.
Thanks.
We have talked much while riding here. I'm convinced we can work together, my friend.
Glad you think so.
There's another chair.
Good enough. Now what?
You are willing to join us, no?
So far, it hasn't made much difference whether I'm willing or not.
I don't trust anybody, amigo. Especially hombres who are so smart as you seem to be.
Yes, I've heard that about you. That you trust no one.
But I can trust you now, for you couldn't live, although you might decide you want to.
I see. What about the other members of your gang?
I am most careful, amigo, to know the past of each of my men. But of you, I know nothing. And so far, you've told me nothing of yourself.
Does it matter?
Of course not. Well, then, knowing nothing, I'm careful you do not leave and talk too freely. You have your guns, see. But the horses are well guarded, and there are men at the pass.
You spoke of having a plan.
See. I have found out, tonight at midnight, 2 wagons will leave Dry Gulch for Fort Murray, carrying new rifles and a large payroll.
Oh.
Only 4 soldiers will ride as guards.
Go on.
It's simple, senor. I place my men in the narrow valley along the trail west of Dry Gulch. We ambush the wagons.
What will you do with the rifles?
There is one from over the border who has joined my group. From him I learned of the wagons. After the raid, we get mucho dinero for the rifles.
Where do I fit in this picture?
You, my friend, will go with us to ambush the wagons. With the others, you will receive your share of the booty. I have some details to attend to now, senor. I'm expecting a new member to come here. While I'm gone, you will tell him to wait for me here. It's getting dark outside. I shall come back in plenty of time to ride with him into the ambush. Adios.
Adios. Something strange in all this. He's mighty sure of himself, even though I still have my guns. I have a feeling he knows more than he pretends to know about me. There's only some way to... Maybe I do know of a way. I still have the small makeup packet in my pocket. Yes, here it is. Hope to get time enough to use it before that new member of the gang arrives. And I'll find out if my plan will work.
The curtain falls on the first act of our Lone Ranger story. Before the next exciting scenes, please permit us to pause for just a few moments. Now to continue our story. Taking the small makeup kit from his pocket, the Lone Ranger carefully but hurriedly went to work disguising himself after removing his mask, which he put out of sight in his pocket. He bent over a small mirror which he had placed on the table near the lamplight. In a short time, he raised his head and with the aid of the mirror scrutinized the result. The face that peered back at him seemed to be that of the lone bandit himself.
That should do it. Better get this makeup packet out of sight.
Oh, boy.
Oh, just in time. Here he comes now. Come in, amigo.
Well, mister, here I am like I said I'd be.
See, I was beginning to think perhaps you were not coming, senor.
Are you loco or something? You told me not to come too early. You even told me about striking 3 matches, one after the other, as a signal when I got near the pass so they'd let me come through.
So I did, senor. Now I shall tell you what you are to do.
Yeah, what?
You will ride the west trail toward town until you reach a grove of cottonwood trees near the creek.
Then what?
You will find there an Indian who is spying for me.
An Indian?
Si, senor. You will tell him about the ambush, which is to take place just after midnight.
Yeah, you told me about that already. Go on.
I will wrap this bullet in a small piece of paper like this. Give him this when you find him. Then he will know you are from me. You savvy, senor?
Sure, I savvy.
The Indian will then leave you. You will meet us at the valley. All right. Hurry, go now. Tell no one of your errand. Adios.
Adios. I'll see you later.
I'll put my mask back on before the bandit returns. Hope that outlaw gets through to Tonto. If he does, Tonto will know what to do.
Back at the campsite, Tonto had waited and hoped for some message from the Lone Ranger. Darkness had set in when he finally heard hoofbeats approaching fast.
Maybe that's Silver. Me watch, see.
Oh, boy. Yeah, no need to go for your gun, Indian. I brought you this from the Lone Bandit.
From Lone Bandit.
Unwrapping the bullet in the bright moonlight, Tonto immediately saw that it was a silver bullet, such as the Lone Ranger carried. For a moment, he wondered. Then he asked,
Oh, what him say? You tell me.
Oh, yeah. He said to tell you the plans. The gang is ambushing the 2 army wagons about midnight in the narrow valley along the trail to Fort Murray west of Dry Gulch. He said you'd know what to do. I'm to join the gang over there.
Ah, me know what to do. But first me do this. Now me tie him, leave him in camp, and me ride down pronto.
Later that night, the Lone Bandit returned to the cabin hideout where the masked man was waiting. With him were Tex and Slim.
So, I have come back, senor.
Yeah, so I see.
Where's that new hombre, Blackie?
Yeah. He was supposed to be here waiting.
See, that is so. Perhaps the masked man can tell us.
Well, Blackie did come in, but he had something to do, so he went out again.
I don't like that.
You think he can be trusted?
See, I'm sure of that. But he does not take orders well.
Blackie said he'd join the gang at the valley later.
Guess he'll show up all right.
Blackie was sent to me by the hombre from over the border. He's a much-wanted outlaw, so I do not fear a double-cross.
About time we got the gang together and got started, isn't it?
See, that is so. Tex, you go get them in together. The masked man will ride with Slim and me.
All right, I'll round up the gang.
Wait a minute. Before you leave, there's one thing I want to do. Do not move, Senor Maskman.
What's the gun for?
They're your guns, mi amigos.
Sure.
I got him covered with mine.
What I want to do, senor, is to have a look at your face. Remove his mask, Tex, and do not get in the way of my gun.
I savvy. Here goes, mister.
Hey, look.
Caramba.
Satisfied?
But it is a face exactly like my own.
Yeah. Scar and all. That's not good.
Take his guns, Tex. By now he has reloaded them.
Sure, I'll get him. There.
Perhaps it is not so bad as we think. Somehow he is making himself to look like me. That will come in handy, no?
What do you mean?
Just this, my friend. We will take him with us, of course. And after the ambush, I will shoot him and leave him to be found later. Everybody will think the Lone Bandit was killed during the raid on the wagons.
Say, that's a good idea.
Give him back the mask, Tex. He can put it on so the other men will not be confused. After I put a bullet in him, I will take it off again.
Here, put on the mask, mister.
Thanks.
Now we will leave for the valley. You, senor, will be covered with your own guns, which I shall carry from now on.
Oh?
Now, come along with us.
Meanwhile, Tonto had ridden to town and reined up in front of the sheriff's office.
Oh, fella. Easy, Scott.
He hurried up the steps and entered the office.
Well, Indian, what do you want? You tell army wagons not leave town. You get big posse. Go to Narrow Valley Long Trail, find Lone Bandit and gang waiting in ambush.
Now, hold on. First of all, I have no authority over those army wagons. Anyway, they're well guarded. But what's more, I can't take an Indian's word that the Lone Bandit's planning an ambush.
But it's true.
Yeah? How'd you find out about it?
Member of gang come to camp. Him tell about ambush.
So, a member of the gang come to your camp and told you all about it, huh? So that you could come here and tell me. Is that it?
You waste time. Him tell about ambush.
See
then
here,
him...
Indian. To my way of thinking, maybe a member of the Lone Bandits gang did tell you to come here and tell me that story, hoping I'd fall for it and take the men away from town so they could ride in and raid it.
No, that's not right. Now, you listen.
You listen to me, Indian. I'm holding you here till I can check on your story some way.
Well, there's not time. At midnight, Lone Bandit...
I say you're lying till I find out more
me
about
not it. Talk more. Me leave now, and you not stop me.
Put down that gun.
Adios. Me go now.
Hey, you. Come back here. I'll get him.
Get him up, Scout.
Lone Ranger, riding between Slim and the Lone Bandit, and with Tex and the others riding behind them, arrived at the place of ambush. The Lone Bandit, keeping the masked man with him and Slim, ordered the others to hide behind the boulders and sagebrush on either side of the valley. Selecting a large boulder behind which he and Slim and the Lone Ranger were to wait, the outlaw chief had them rein up there.
Oh, Silver. Look at that.
Who there, who?
This will do nicely, senor. Remember when we sight the wagons and the shooting starts, then you get the bullet. That will teach you that nobody makes himself to look like the Lone Bandit.
You seem quite sure of yourself, my friend.
Why not? You are without guns, and Slim and I are watching closely.
Perhaps you may be in for a big surprise.
What does he mean by that?
That's just big talk, amigo. He's hoping to make us feel nervous, maybe.
Huh. What about that new hombre? I haven't seen him around.
No doubt he's joined the others by now.
Hey, look. The moon's bright enough for us to see the wagons coming into the valley.
See, they're coming now. The men know my signal. 3 quick shots, and then we make the raid. There are only 4 guards. We have 6 men on each slope.
Here they come. They're about to pass us down there.
Get out there. Get out there. Now it is time. I will give the signal.
Hey, what's that? Who? I'm hit.
Hey, something's gone wrong. Look up there on the ridge. Troopers.
As the gang leader instinctively turned to look, the Lone Ranger sitting on Silver beside him sprang forward from the saddle, carrying the bandit to the ground.
Going to kill me, huh? I'll take that gun.
Get you for that.
No. Not so good with your fist, mister. Take it. I'll get to your feet.
Wait, we must get away.
This'll make you wait. Take my other gun now. There. Don't move or you'll get the bullet you meant for me.
I don't savvy, amigo. The troopers, they will capture both of us. Let us get away.
You stay right here. I can guess how those troopers got here. Well, the fight's over. It looks as though your gang got the worst of it. Get up.
Amigo, I will pay you much.
Get going. Down into the valley. Walk.
See, I'm going.
Come on, Silver.
Hey, look, a masked hombre.
Keep those 2 covered.
That friend who carries silver bullets. You all right, Kimosabe?
Yes, Tonto. This is the Lone Bandit, Captain.
Masked man is all right, men. The Indian told me about him.
But I don't savvy this masked man. Why do you say he's all right? I have seen him without the mask. He's fixed himself to look like me.
That's right. Because of that disguise, I managed to send one of your men to Tonto with a message. The man you were expecting at the cabin.
Caramba. You have outwit the Lone Bandit. It was said no man could do such a thing.
Well, this man has. But tell me, mister, I should think in spite of the disguise you wear, your voice would give you away.
Caramba, I have outwit the Lone Bandit. It was said no man could do such a thing.
Sounds like the other one. I swear it was the Lone Bandit talking.
No, it wasn't the Lone Bandit talking, as we know. But this man who has dared so much to save the army wagons and make it possible to capture this gang is far better known than the Lone Bandit.
Since you do have the leader in the gang, there's no further need for Tonto and me to stay. Adios, Captain. Easy, big fella. Come on, Finley!
Senor Capitan. Who is this hombre who is so well known as you say?
That man is on the side of the law. And there's only one Lone Ranger.
This is a feature of the Lone Ranger Incorporated, created and produced by George W. Trendle, directed by Charles D. Livingston, and edited by Fran Stryker. The part of the Lone Ranger is played by Brace Beamer.
This has been a presentation of OTRWesterns.com, and we hope you enjoyed. Please take some time to like and rate our shows in your favorite podcast application. Follow us on Facebook by going to OTRWesterns.com/Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel by going to OTRWesterns.com/YouTube. And send us an email, podcast@OTRWesterns.com. You can call and leave us a voicemail, 707-986-8739. This episode is copyright under the Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike copyright. For more information, go to OTRWesterns.com/copyright. Have a great day, and thanks for listening.